Hello and welcome to Chestnut Checkers. I am Keith Riddle here with my co-host Jordan Tampien as usual, and today our guest is Brynn MacLennan. Did I screw that up?
No, you did it great.
Right.
I'm
like
surprised. Most people mess it up.
It's the first flawless intro I've ever done. So
that's pretty good.
but no, Brynn, you are the CEO of Slate.
Yes.
Right? So let's start there. What is Slate? Because I know what it is, but I want our listeners.
Yeah, we wanted people to be able to do something that they should every day, so easy that they could do it, and so effective their dentist noticed. So we invented an electric flosser to help make flossing easy.
Nice. And how long has that been?
So companies take all types of forms. We ideated in 2019. We patented it in 2020. We made a mold in 2021, and we had product to sell in November of 2022.
Okay, so 6-7 years-ish since inception?
Yeah.
2019, yeah. About?
Yeah, we've only been selling product and been official for 2.5 years.
Yeah. So, because I know nothing about it, right? So I'm going to geek out. How is it very similar to an electric toothbrush?
Yeah, so we actually say it's like your electric toothbrush's best friend.
Okay.
So it's like salt and pepper or peanut butter and jelly. You need one, but you need the other too. And so if you're brushing your teeth, you're covering 60% of your mouth. But the cracks and crevices of your mouth, it's like you would never shower and not clean your armpits. We want to clean the armpits of your mouth.
That's a very good visual.
Awesome.
It's on picture now.
This is awesome. But I also feel like as I've gotten older, I need floss and toothpicks more. I don't know what it is about your mouth bunches up or something in there. I'm like, when I was a kid, man, I don't feel like I ever had stuff in my teeth. Now every time I eat, I'm like,
That's actually something that makes our product really special. It's not just a floss, it's a 3-in-1. So it has woven floss, these little triangles that are like gum sweeps. So they go where your gums and teeth touch.
Okay.
If you're in the dental world, it's called like an interproximal brush. And then on the back is a tongue scraper. So we were trying to figure out what could we give people, because technique is actually flossing is very technique sensitive.
Really?
Yeah, you're supposed to be doing a C shape and going up underneath the gum line and down so that it disrupts the bacteria under your gums. People don't think about that part. And so the sonic vibrations and those little triangles go in there and they disrupt the bacteria you can't see. All
So that's what it is. We don't have to stay there. I just was curious. That was very impressive. But so let me ask you this question: When all of this came about, did you have any sort of background in the dental world at all, or
no?
With teeth?
So
or this was
my co-founder was a dentist.
Okay.
And he was like, I got to get people to floss. Everyone is mad at the dentist because they have cavities and gum disease, and those two things can be stopped by flossing. And my background is product design, and I was like, well, you could just make a product that makes it easy.
For people to floss.
And so we're like, what makes it hard? And some people's fingers literally are too big for their mouth. Other people don't have dexterity. So we're like, we need to make it like a toothbrush so it's easy. And so that's when we invented this.
So your background was in design. What kind of design?
Yeah, so I went to school for product design.
Okay.
I majored in product design with a minor in furniture design.
So what does that look like coming out of school? Do you? But I mean, do you kind of have a niche you might go into as a product designer? When you come, people are like, I'm a tech product designer. Or
there are lots of different areas. So you could be a soft goods, which is like a backpack or a bag of some sort. You could be a car designer.
Yeah.
You could work for
But when you're coming out of school, do you have an idea, a rough idea?
Yeah, so usually you've focused in on an area. And I did an internship with Johnson & Johnson, and that's when I fell in love with medical stuff. And so I was like, medical is so cool. Before I did that, I wanted to be a Nike shoe designer.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I was like, I can make a product that literally changes someone's life. I want to do that.
I have a funny caveat story to that. It's I declared a mechanical engineering major because I thought I was going to design cars from the ground up, race cars and cool stuff.
Yeah.
And it was 2.5 years later that I realized you get to design the door handle.
The screw.
Yeah. My dreams were crushed. I was like, man, I wish someone would have kind of told me this.
So you should have become a product designer.
Yeah.
So that we are we give the engineers like the outside, and then they make all the tiny components on the inside.
Like in the construction world, it's like the architect versus the engineer.
Yeah.
You know, like the architect always gets to draw all the cool pictures. They're like, we're going to cantilever this beam 47 feet. And then the engineer's like, what are you doing?
Can't do that.
And that doesn't work.
Yeah. But it looks cool.
And so was it your brainchild then? Because the design's really cool, actually.
Originally, like, I didn't have a lot of involvement, and it was mostly Dr. Snyder. He was like very excited about it, and I was like, I'll just help you when you need help.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, it was like apparent that in order to make this successful, it needed like 100% attention. And so he was like, here's the stuff, you figure it out. And so then I ran the company.
Yeah.
Did he have a full-time like dental practice at the time? So So
Yeah.
it was like this whole...
He was like, this is a great
whole
idea, but I don't have the energy to do the idea.
So what does it, like, just educate me a little bit here or whatever, but like what does it take to get something to market if you from idea, right? Because I think everybody sits around sometimes and is like, I got this great idea, and none of us have any idea of like what it actually would take to like get that great idea even remotely close to something of marketability, let alone
minimum viable
profit
product.
or anything, right?
Yeah, so I think if you're doing a consumer product, there's a few different things you have to think about. Like if you're doing soft goods, you don't need a mold. But if you're doing like a plastic or something, you need a mold. And molds take a minimum of 4 months, like even longer sometimes to be made. So like from the beginning of an idea to actually having product on your doorstep is usually a minimum of 1.5 years, usually 2 years. And if you do like a super rush job, like I've been doing a new product that required less things, like the fastest I've been able to do it is like 11 months.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like been crushing, like, you guys, we have to get this done. And so I think the problem is a lot of people think of an idea and they think, I'll have stuff to sell soon. And it's like, no, you're not. Like we did it as fast as we humanly possibly could. And from patent to having a product was 4 years.
Yeah. Is the patent one of the slower parts to that?
Yeah, so like the patent didn't get, we already had product to sell before the patent became complete. I think people who wait on the patent being complete, you're actually going to lose out to competitors. So I think that you start and you go and then you hope your patent happens.
Gets approved.
Yeah.
What's the dangers each way? Like
so like we actually had another product that was similar to ours launch and get started about 6 months before ours. And we've been 6 months like behind them for a long time but our patent was before theirs, right?
Gotcha.
And so like if I could have done it differently, I would have launched 6 months sooner.
Yeah. And then had the patent trail behind it.
Because I mean, the patent, I didn't know they existed when I applied for my patent. They didn't know we existed. But they did we had Kickstarters at the same time.
Yeah.
But theirs was 6 months before ours. Even though they didn't have a product, we wanted to have molds and everything so we could get our product to people sooner.
Yeah. And then prior to this, had you run a business or had like an entrepreneurial background?
I was really lucky. When I was 13, my parents told me and my brother, like, hey, you either can start a company or work for someone because you're going to have to pay for college. And so I was like, okay. And we were like, let's start a company. So we started a bounce house company in our city, and there was no other bounce houses in like a 500-mile radius. So we became like the company for that. And I couldn't even drive at the time.
13, yeah.
So I was like, I was like the phone person, all of the books, and then when I could drive, I became the deliverer.
And where was this?
I grew up in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's fascinating. We did a very similar one with a photo booth here locally. And it was one we attended an event, and we had a buddy that did one. It was just kind of half put together. And I'm like, God, these are genius. But by the end, we were doing $1,000 an event, and all it did was cost us the film.
Yeah.
And the labor. And you're like, man, why don't more people like look at these opportunities? But so when you dove into that, obviously, I'm guessing a blow up bounce castle wasn't the first business idea. How did you kind of come across that, or was it?
So my parents came to us with the idea, actually.
Okay.
They were like, hey, so-and-so's doing this in another city. It doesn't have that much of an initial cost, and then they last for a while. So we spent $24,000 to start the business. And we had paid it off in like 2 months.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think everybody messed that. That's on ours. We hadn't even bought the equipment. We started a website and booked the events for the next summer. And then it wasn't until we booked 10 events that we bought the equipment and then had it ready to go. So we knew kind of what we were looking at. But I think too many people are like, oh, once I get the 24,000, we'll get this thing figured out and we'll get going. And then they never get to it. And by the time they do, somebody else started it.
I think like that's so important to realize is like minimal viable product or like just get started. Because if you wait, sometimes people put so much effort in the getting it perfect that they don't get it done at all.
Yeah.
Well, and there's just so many other things that can happen along the way that you're not thinking about too that can like blow the whole thing out of the water, right? A competitor that you don't know about or whatever, you know, COVID happening. So, I mean, like a million things, right, that we don't think about. And now we kind of do. But at that time, talk to me a little bit about that. I'm sure when you guys were in product design and launch and you're trying to manufacture a product, like did COVID, was that like a huge...
COVID was a huge blessing and a huge curse because it gave Dr. Snyder like, he couldn't work for 3 months. So he like focused on like every little detail of the floss head. Our floss head is amazing. Like it makes our product better than anything. And so that was really great. But then it also meant that we couldn't get product here fast.
Yeah.
It like usually like you'd have someone go to the factory and check things and be done. And then so a 1 week process turned into like a 5 month process. So that was really hard.
Oh, I'm sure.
Especially like we had spent so much money and you're just like waiting for something. It's like we just spent $300,000 and we need something faster.
Faster than this.
This may not work. So at what point in time did it become your full-time gig?
In November of 2021, I started working like 30 hours a week to 60 hours a week, depending whatever that week needed. And then June of 2022, it was like 80 hours a week, and it hasn't stopped.
And we got into it. We got into it a little bit before, but you were in product design before. What were you doing directly before? Like, what was your last project before this project?
Well, I have 5 kids, and so I was a mom for 4 years before, like of half working, half not working. I worked at the dental office.
So you weren't doing anything.
No, I was
not busy at all.
Nothing.
You weren't
super
busy
easy.
at all, yeah. 5 children, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Ages?
My oldest is 16, then 13, 11, 10, and 6.
Wow. So, and you're going back 6 years ago. That was your youngest a baby, like a brand new baby?
Yeah, like a baby.
Yeah.
I actually said, like, do not do this. I don't want you to.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have to. I'm going to change the world. I was like, okay, go for it.
Crazy.
That is amazing, though. Looking back, though, great idea. Any regrets? Loved it.
A great idea. I have tons of regrets, but I love the product. I am extremely passionate about flossing, and I really believe we can change the world. Sure. I like learned things about flossing that I'm like, everyone in the world needs to know. Like dementia. If you have gum disease for more than 5 years, you're 70% more likely to have dementia.
Heart disease too, like cholesterol and stuff.
All of it,
right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So many things tied to it.
There's this germ in your mouth, and I can't say it correctly, but it's like T. gingivital. I need to learn it. If it's in your mouth when you have heart surgery, there's a 70% chance you'll die.
Wow.
And I'm like,
wow.
All you have to do is floss. But the problem is you had to have been flossing for the year before. Otherwise, it's in your mouth.
So, like, super caveat story, but my wife, when we were young and, like, originally married, she would do medical missions to South America.
Awesome.
And she was a nurse at the time. She's a nurse practitioner now. But I remember it was, like, the Obama era, and they were talking about universalized healthcare. And, like, me and my wife, as usual, sit on opposite sides of many topics. But that was one of the areas that she really, like, educated me or got me around, was she was like, you don't understand. She's like, when I go to these villages in South America, there are so many little things, and she used dental as like an example. She's like brushing your teeth, like dental care, that lead to all of these other major medical issues. And so she was just like, it was case in point for her to like educate me on, like, a lot of times we don't realize that, like, the amount of money we spend in our medical and healthcare industry could be mitigated so much from just like basic access to like a toothbrush or to like sunglasses.
It's like you don't think about it like the preventative care aspect, and if you do that, it's like we're so used to reactionary care.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I broke my arm, now I'll fix it. But it's like, well, if you would have, it's like I tore my ACL, but I knew if I would have exercised for the year before and been in shape, I wouldn't have torn my ACL.
Right.
Trust me, I know that one. So true, though.
Yeah, I know it was a freak accident.
Yeah, thank you.
A freak accident. Don't worry about it.
Thanks, Keith. I tore my, ruptured my Achilles.
Oh.
And it was the same thing, but I thought 2 months of getting in shape was enough. It was not. It should have,
that was like,
been last 2
I had
years.
just had a baby and I was like, I'm going to go skiing because I can ski like I used to.
Yeah.
But, that's the problem with getting older too. Is like you could actually in a couple months get in decent shape strength wise, but like your ligaments and your joints are not.
They're not catching up as fast.
Catching up as fast as that muscle is, and then that leads to bad things. But going back to that conversation with my wife it was an aha for me, but it also opened my eyes just to like your mouth and all of the things that your mouth, like you said, can lead to. And so I kind of went down a rabbit hole of that for a couple of years, and it was interesting to see like. The ramifications of like root canals.
Yeah, it's like once you like go learn, you can't unlearn it. And I was like, man, if you knew this, you would floss every day.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't for years. I was like, man, that seems like annoying. And
yeah.
then I'm like, well, I don't want to die either. So maybe.
But I think what I've been trying to teach people, it's not like it's correlation, not causation.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, all the germs in your mouth go to your whole body. They go from your mouth to your gut, from your mouth to your brain, from your mouth to your heart. And then what happens year after year after year?
Yeah,
you get dementia.
You get dementia.
It adds up to it. That'd be a sales pitch. So what has been the hardest part? Outside of the 80-hour weeks, but like kind of as you're going through the...
I think scaling has major benefits. Like we grew 268% last year.
Jeez.
So fun. So hard. It made us realize like some of the employees we had aren't the right employees now because we grew so much.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now we grew so much that our goal is XYZ. And so now we actually need to get more money. And so cash flow for a product company, I think, is the hardest part. And then you have no...
Managing it or getting access to it or...
Probably access if your goal is growth, right? Like... my goal is exponential growth. And at that point, you need more cash flow to grow more. So we got in with a major retailer. But in order to do that, we needed $1 million of product. In order to do that, we need $1 million. So we raised money. And luckily for us, we didn't have it wasn't super hard to raise money at that moment, but it was because everything aligned. Like we had just grown and we had all these things and we were profitable. But it's like, what happens when things aren't good? It's hard to get money. So you have to time raising money right.
For sure. And I think like that's the message to a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners is like, we don't tend to think about needing the money in the worst of times. And so your first inkling is to like save, like, well, I'll put some money aside and save it for like if times don't get good. But there are times when you're raising money where it's like, you're raising money in a moment to grow, but you might get to, I don't know what you call them, but like those little like plateaus in business, like, where like you're at a plateau, you're not really making much more money, but you're growing and you have the potential, but you're trying to raise in that moment. And it's like banks or anybody who's raising money want to give you the amount of money based upon your current income and profit, right? So they're like, we will give you this much money because you make this much money. And I'm like, no, I need this much money so I can make this much money. And it's like, that's just I think it's a commonality in business and raising capital, but it's definitely something about, I don't know anybody who it's like, has a really clear answer for that. Other than I'm like, it will happen and it's hard and you just got to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think you have to realize like, there's going to be very, very stressful days. Yeah. And I think when I look at being an entrepreneur, it's really who has the most grit and who's willing to weather like the really crappy stuff because it's going to happen. And you just have to figure out how long can I weather this out for?
Yeah. Yeah. And you also got to know if you're actually doing that or if you're just being stubborn. Like, I feel like...
I think that's such a good point.
A lot of people die on that hill, right? Like, it's just grit, man. I'll just weather this out. But you might want to run.
There's a book called 10x is Better Than 2x. Yeah. And I love that book. And in the book, he's like, you have to know, like, sometimes you think this is a good investment, but you have to know when to scrap it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, that's an interesting one because Brick West, we ran into very similar. So when we started it, the goal was to catch no lie, who I think at the time was like 16,000 barrels. And so it dictated every decision we made for the next 4 years. So if you want to get 16,000 barrels, you can't buy a 5-barrel system. You need a 15-barrel system. You can't buy 5 tanks. You need 15 tanks. And I think what we fell into was also that same scale where we scaled really fast, but then we hit this plateau of too big to be small again and too small to be big. And it was this like next almost, it was a planned injection of capital. Whereas now we know every 1,000 barrels I need $150,000, and it's like, and now we get this strategy. We're bringing on new kind of investors for that piece of it. But I think it's super hard when you set those really big goals, and they sound great, and then you hit those pivotal moments. And the hard time was like, because we were small to be big, it's all of a sudden your financials. Well, we just dumped a big chunk into the inventory. Well, of course they don't look good. And so I think you do a really good job of explaining that vision and keeping positive to it. But what are some things you do to handle that stress? I think it's the hardest part because the bigger you get, I mean, the money's getting more people. It's getting more inventory. It's more stuff on shelves.
I think what I did is I knew my strong suit isn't a CFO. And so I hired a CFO to say, like, what is our 5-year projection? What's our 10-year projection? Like, in March, if we want to build a new product, we need $200,000 for a new mold. Yeah. Well, how are we going to have $200,000 in March? And so I think a lot of times people don't have the finance projections. It's like, in order to hit this goal, how do I get there? Yeah. You have to have planned it out. Because like we knew, okay, our lowest amount of money is whenever we have to build this mold. Yeah. So what... will we weather that mold's time, or are we going to get extra capital or a loan or whatever? Yeah, to get there. But I also learned you have to like know that a year in advance so that you're friending up with the banks or you're friending up with the investors, because the month before is not going to be the time to do that. No, that makes it really hard when it's a rushed element for sure. Yeah, finding money when you need money is not the time to be finding money. No. Yeah. Right? And yet so often that's when we find ourselves trying to find money. Yeah, and I think the hard part on ours was we actually had the money to start, and so we just threw money at every problem. And I think that was a major issue we had, was instead of focusing on what is the problem, which we've done the last year now, it was like, oh, hey, we need this broke. Okay, get a new one. It just keep the machine going. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, did we actually need that? Why did it break? What are we doing here? And I feel like it's been 1 year worth of like really cautious about the money, because it's making sure it stretches. And I think sometimes it's easier. No, just get another mold and we'll go out for it. And so what we found was we need more voices in our system. So like you said, you were converted to a C Corp. Did you like kind of pick your board then strategically that way to help in those alignment pieces, or how do you kind of manage those decisions? So that was actually something I also learned. So when we were raising money, our lead investor was not the best person for our board. Yeah. But he was our lead investor and he wanted to be on our board. And I tried to like talk him into letting someone who knew more, was more strategic, to be on the board. But he gave the most money. So I was like, if I could go back in time, luckily we had people come on as board advisors, and they ended up being more like the board, even though they weren't the board. But he would listen to what they said and he would vote based on those things. Yeah. So I think once you become someone who has a board, that's like a whole other problem. And you have to be really smart, because if you can't get approval, you can't move forward. Yeah. Has that, do you think, helped you or hurt you? All the people on my board are very in our vision. Yeah. And so we've always been on the same page. Yeah. But I'm sure there will be a time when we're not. You don't say. Having those fun meetings, yeah. So talk to me about that evolution, though. So, because I'm just trying to put pieces in my head together, but you were like a product designer. This comes about, kind of drops in your lap. You have 5 kids, little kids. Now you're a CEO of a company, and you're changing the corporate structure of that company. You're creating a board. You're trying to get a product to market. Where did you have any experience in that, or was this all like, were you just like reading books, like self-help YouTube, like how to run a board meeting? Listen to your podcast. That is actually I what I've learned is surround yourself with awesome people who want to mentor you. Yeah, because I didn't know anything, and I was really lucky. I have a dad who's a lawyer, My sister used to work for Bain, so she's economic person. And then my brother and my brother-in-laws went to Ivy League MBAs. So I didn't know anything, and I asked them how to help me at the beginning. And then I was lucky. Tom Simpson is one of our board advisors. He has great knowledge, and he would question me on a lot of things, which was really beneficial for me, because then I would go and I'd learn, okay, I did this board meeting wrong, but I didn't know how to do a board meeting. And so I then met with other CEOs, and I was like, I need to make my next board meeting better. How do I do that?
That's awesome. What was the learning curve like?
I
mean, how long before you feel like you really got it? I mean, like 6 months, a year? Are you still figuring it out? I mean, I don't know.
I think I'm always figuring it out, because we're continually, our goal is growth.
Right.
I think I've learned this, some people want 1% growth every year or 2% growth. And that would be a much slower learning curve. But I want to be $100 million company.
Yeah.
So every day I realize I know nothing. How do I learn it? I'm going to ask so-and-so who knows more than me, or I'm going to read this book. I've read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Any recommendations?
I just read, it's interesting. I read a lot of Benjamin Hardy books. So how 10X is better than 2X, Who Not How to Be Your Future Self Now. And then I just read Good to Great.
Yep.
Jim Collins.
And so I also am reading Multipliers. I just think there's good things in each one. And then you have to figure out, how does that affect me in this moment, and who can I? So I just hired someone. I told her, you're my who. I hope you're excited for this who job.
Yeah. Is it something you want to do, or does it ever make sense to hire somebody that has that product background to go from 100,000 users to 10 million?
I definitely think there will be a point when I am not the person to be the CEO.
Yeah.
But I think
or are you just going to keep learning into the next seat ahead of it?
I feel like if I can learn it, I will totally learn it. I love learning.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that the goal of my company, I'm in the right fit in that spot. I think that I will always be part of my company. The question is where do I line? And if we say to get to this goal, Brynn is not the answer anymore, then I'll gladly be okay, who's the answer?
Let's find that who.
Who's the who?
Well, I think again, transcending this for our listeners, and regardless of the business that you're in, I think it's a natural kind of question or reflection that anyone needs to do on a regular basis, whether it's annually or quarterly or whatever. Is a lot of us get into business, we get a little bit of ego behind it, or we champion a lot of the growth, or we put our heart and soul into something. And there's a lot of times where we might be holding things back, right? Or you alluded to it a little bit earlier of even the you could have a 20 staff employment business, and those same employees that got you from 0 sales to 1 million sales may or may not be the right fit to get you from 1 million to 100 million sales. And that's not a shot at them, and there's nothing bad about that, and it doesn't mean they're not good people. It's behavior driven, right? And it's skill set driven. And so the head of marketing is a completely different job at 100 million as it is at 1 million, right? So it's not like you're a bad marketing person. It's no, you're a great marketing person for a company that sells $1 million in product a year. You're not the right fit for one that sells 100 million. And I think we have a hard time looking at our own teams that way. We also have a hard time looking at our own roles that way. And so I knew a long time ago with my own company, I was a really terrible day-to-day manager, awful. Even my staff, they're like, dude, what do you their impression was I didn't care. Yeah. But for me, it was a behavior thing. I'm no, you guys, I am the wrong person for this. You guys come to me because I own it, but you don't understand. It's not that I don't care. It's that I am thinking about the next big thing, or innovation, or progress, visionary. Or the visionary. And you guys want me to do day-to-day operations. I don't know. What do you mean it's broken? Fix it. At any rate, I'm babbling now, but I'm sure that you see that in your current company.
Okay, I'm so passionate about this right now because we had to do some employee changes, and it made me feel like a bad leader. Mm-hmm. I called one of my mentors. She is really cool. She sold her company for $600 million, and I was okay, I have these people and they're not the right people anymore. She's like, Brynn, when you grow, they're not going to be the right people anymore. And that's not saying you're a bad leader. They're just not the people that are willing to learn the new thing. And you need to be okay with that. Because it was like really making me sad. I want everyone, I wanted everyone to be on the team like me and just be like ready to grow and learn. But I realized there's certain personalities that do that and certain personalities that like they can do the $1 million company, but they can't do the $100 million company.
Well, and it's not to say that there aren't people that can scale with you the entire time. I would just say that that's an outlier.
Yeah.
That's not a norm.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And finding one or two of those unicorns is not, you can't just put that onus on everyone. Like, what do you mean you can't all just like naturally learn massively new skills every day and every week and want to do what we want to do? And I think I always look at sports teams or sports analogies with regard to like clear vision of some of that, because you will see players and coaches or organizations butt heads at certain points, and you're like, and then that player goes on to be a great player somewhere else, or that coach goes on to be a great coach somewhere else, and you can kind of just see like, oh, like they were terrible for 3 years or 5 years, but they were just in the wrong position, right? The wrong fit, the wrong time, or whatever. And I think organizationally, that's been one of the hardest things I think for me to learn. And I think even I see a lot of other entrepreneurs, especially when you get into small and medium-sized businesses, because a lot of them are friends and family, or I mean, like, how do you fire your brother? Or it's not an option, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or your dad,
I'm like, if I can go back in time, it's like don't hire family members, don't hire people who go to your church, don't hire me.
Right?
Yeah.
It's tough, I'm sure. And then how much of the day-to-day operations on the hiring and firing do you have to do?
I do all of it still.
Oh, wow.
Do you?
That's
So,
intense.
like, give me a lay of the land there. How many employees you guys have, or what's your staff?
So we have
like,
a lot of contractors currently. We have something that I've done this, that I don't know if it's like good or bad or whatever, but I've hired a lot of women who want to work from just 9 to 2. Because it was like, okay, their kids need to go to school, but they have awesome brains and very capable, but they also want to be home when their kids are home.
Yeah.
So we have like six moms who work on our team, and then we have a few that are full-time employees. So we have 4 full-time employees.
So 10-ish?
Well, like
Plus
with
you?
contractors, we're like a 25-man team.
Okay. And what are the independent contractors? Like, what are they? Is it
Mostly
like,
marketing.
Okay.
Yeah. So you like packaging? Like, how does the packaging side work?
Yeah, so we have certain factories in different locations in the world, like China, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And we design all the stuff here, and then we send it there.
Yeah. And then they package and drop ship it, or ship it to you, and
so
then you ship it
they
out.
send it to us in the packaging, and then it gets sent to our fulfillment warehouse here in Spokane, and then we have employees that from 9 to 2 fulfill all of our work.
And send that out. That is an
So are you guys
interesting-
selling most of your product direct, or is it like, I mean, I don't know if Amazon's a bad word in this instance, but is it like on Amazon?
It's on Amazon,
Is it
yeah.
on,
Yeah.
I mean,
We
is
do a
it-
lot of money on Amazon. I'm really grateful for Amazon,
Yeah.
actually, because Amazon is a place where people go to buy stuff. And
Yeah.
so for us, we like Amazon.
How has the response been from the dental community?
That's probably my favorite part. Is dentists
it?
love our product.
Do they?
It's actually funny. They're kind of apprehensive if they have never tried it. So, but if they see it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I should have invented this myself." Like almost all of them say that. Like, this, why didn't this exist 20 years ago?
So here's my question, because this was, and I'm like, why isn't it just an attachment to already an electric toothbrush? Why
Yeah,
is
so
it a
we
whole
actually
separate
were
product?
supposed to, that's how we started our design. But what we learned is like the area from the base of the vibrations to where the toothbrush is, the vibrations dissipate at the end. And in order to have the vibrations in the little, what we call gum sweeps or the interdental brushes, we need to have the motor higher. And like when you put your toothbrush in, there's this much. When you use our flosser, there's only like this much area. So the motor is much higher. That's actually what makes our product better than like our competitors, is most people's sonic vibrations don't travel to the end of the floss, and ours does.
Super fascinating.
I know.
That's such a minute detail, but probably very pivotal.
Well, but people don't realize,
Yeah.
like, oh, like, it's funny. A hygienist came up to us at the last dental trade show. She's like, I just tried your competitor, and their floss doesn't vibrate. And I was like, I know.
I know. I told you.
I know.
But it vibrates in your hand, so you think it's vibrating in your mouth.
And does the vibration not, and I'm assuming here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it not only helps with the cleaning, but it helps with like the actual like movement in and out in like an easy way, like right? Because that's my biggest thing with flossing is like I just jam it too far in my gum too hard, or I'm like
intense.
Getting impatient or something, and it's like it hurts.
That is like the biggest we were trying to solve. Like people are like flossing hurts. We're like flossing shouldn't hurt. Flossing should actually feel good. And so with our product, the sonic vibrations help it go between your tight contacts easily. If you put it in at like a cantilever, so you're supposed to roll it in, and then you put the little triangles into one side and then to the other side. So we call it the roll and sweep technique. But when you do that, it's just like, oh, I just went to the spa. Your mouth feels so good.
Like butter.
Like butter.
Yeah, exactly.
So what kind of is your key indicators for scale in the sense of if you, let's say you needed 20 million, you got 20 million today, do you scale that fast? Or is it more led by, hey, we got in this store, so let's look to scale? But how are you
That's kind of how we are doing it. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it. But I am not like a real big financial risk taker. So like I'm like, okay, I want to be profitable. How do I be profitable? So I look at everything from that angle. But then I like learned, okay, well, in order to get into this retailer, I'm not going to be profitable for 6 months because I'm going to put in a PO for $1 million.
Yeah.
So we strategize every year. Okay, what's our goal for this year? And then the next year we say, well, what did we not do that we strategized for? And what did we do? And what can we do better? So I think if you just throw spaghetti at the wall, it doesn't always work very well. So I would say like strategize. What are your main goals? Like our goal this year, one of them was to get into a retailer because we found out that 46% of people buy their oral health products in store. So we're like, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
That's why actually says leading back with the dentist question is like, do you guys have dentists that sell them direct?
We do.
Out of their offices?
So if you know dentists, they're either the people who like are like very business savvy or they suck at business. And so a lot of them prefer just to say, go to Amazon, go to whatever store, go to their website. So we have that. But then we have the like money-making dentists who buy them in bulk and sell them out of their office.
So even with the online stuff and the retail stuff and the dentist, are you guys selling most of them online though?
Yeah.
Is that
like
primary?
Exponential.
And have you guys reached a point where you think you have like market saturation or like where demand will slow down, or is it like you can't make them fast enough right now? Or
I think like people have to know our product exists, so we have like that educational point of like, but there's 340 million mouths in the U.S. Like to get that many people to know about it is going to be really hard. But what we learn is once someone buys our product, they usually love it. Well, it's interesting. They don't tell people until like some weird conversation comes up because you don't like talk about what you do in your bathroom very often. But you'll like be out to eat and you'll be like, oh, I have something stuck in my teeth. And then someone will be like, oh my gosh, I got the coolest thing. You got to try this. So we were on a How I Built This episode last year and that really helped us grow.
You were on a what? Sorry.
How I Built This episode.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really great because it's 19 million listeners. So.
Yeah, and so when you target that, is that like where your marketing dollars go, or when you're marketing this, is it more towards education about what it is and why you need it, or is it towards I'm going to call it influencers and
well, we go back and
viewership?
forth.
Yeah.
And last year our strategy was like, let's educate people because I'm very data driven, and so I think sometimes we also have to get out of we're not our customer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if someone knew that they're going to get dementia or someone knew that it's going to affect their heart, of course they would do this. So like that was a lot of our education. And then I realized like, what if we just said it was easy? Yeah. Oh, people just want it to be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I don't like, I heard about your product. I've heard a lot of really good things about your product, but I heard about your product from a guy at the gym actually. And I think
this makes me so happy.
Yeah, I think he might have gone to a pitch, or maybe he was an investor. I don't know. But he was talking to another guy about it, right? I was like the third party guy into the conversation. Okay. And I was like immediately the cynic. Okay, I'm just going to throw it out.
I love it. Be the cynic.
Because they were talking about it, and I was like, so it's like my toothbrush? And he's like, well, no, it's different. And I was like, well, why don't I just put an attachment on my toothbrush? And he's like, well, no, it's different. And I was like, it's just going to sit on my counter. Now I got one more effing thing on my bathroom counter. Like, I don't want another thing on my counter. Like, I was totally, and he was like, you got to just try it. And then what was funny was like a week or two later, I'm always passing the same guys in the hallway. The other guy had tried it, and like now he was on it. So now it was like 2-on-1. They're like, "Oh, dude, you got to try it." That was like, but he had gone home and tried one, and so like they were both raving fans. By the way,
I think once you use it, like it really feels so good that you're like, "Wow,
why haven't I been?"
I like when I go to bed. There are times I don't floss, and when I lay in bed, I'm like, I should get out of bed and do that because it feels good.
For sure. I am a truck flosser, so I
floss
when I
we're
drive
coming out
for
with
the
a
most
new
part.
product
Really?
for people like you. Yeah.
For people like
I'm
you.
selling one directly to you.
Yes.
We're looking, like we noticed that there's like the people who are very preventative focused, who love to work out, who are health, longevity people. And then there's the people that are like, I just need it where it can be convenient. Mm-hmm. And we see all those floss picks everywhere. So we made a floss pick alternative, and it's our
cool.
mini flosser, and it's launching next month.
Oh boy!
So
does it vibrate?
It doesn't vibrate.
Okay.
It's just meant to be in your truck or in wherever you need it.
That's where I need it. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I do a pretty good job with any sort of hygiene in the mornings. It's the energy thing, the gym thing. But by like evening, I'm like, it'll be fine. But like during the day, I can't have that stuff stuck in my teeth. So it's like, it's a crime of opportunity, really. It's not
I always
even
tell
like
people
being
though,
lazy.
like when you wake up, you want to scrape your tongue because you have all of the bacteria from your mouth.
So you're scaring me with that bacteria thing. I don't know about that. Yeah. I gotta
It's better not to know sometimes.
I gotta get my blood panels drawn.
Every time I scrape my tongue, I'm like, there's no way there's that much stuff on my tongue.
Jeez. So if you could wake up in 5 years from now, where do you see Slate being?
I would love it to be in all the major retailers and at Costco and every dentist to acknowledge that it exists. Yeah. I think that's been the funnest part is like a dentist will be like, I don't know, it can't be that good. And then they'll have a patient come back 6 months later and they're like, oh my gosh, they actually don't have gum disease anymore. We've never had a product that eradicates it. Like usually it just is keeping it steady. Mm-hmm. And so going from a 5 to a 3 is like,
That's awesome. Do you guys have any end goals in mind? Like, are you trying to take it to 100 million and sell it, or 600 million and exit, or like? I think of my, in my mind of like, there's got to be a pretty big market for this for some like Oral-B health or some already existing dental.
Yeah, my goal is to be at 100 million and to be at the point where we're successful enough that someone either wants to buy us or I'm like, we've got this. We figured out how to do it.
Yeah, just keep running.
Yeah, just keep going.
When you guys do your marketing and advertising, are you strategically doing it based upon your supply? Like, are you?
No. We would just start making more.
Okay.
And we have the ability to make more. Last year we maxed out our mold, and so we had to make a new mold, but now we have 2 molds.
So when you say max out a mold, is it just like you're talking production?
Yeah, so like if our floss head mold is at max production, it can do like, I don't know the number because they're like, we have packs of 20. But with the flossers, we can do like 180,000 units a month.
Oh, wow.
And so once we need more than that, then we'll make another mold. Yeah. But at that point, we actually want to make a new mold of a new product, so it's version 2 instead of... Yeah. So I think what we have to do is keep ahead of the innovation. And so it's like, okay, when this mold is going to max out, we actually want to bring another version out.
Do the molds have a lifespan?
They do have a lifespan. So steel molds and aluminum molds are different. And so most of the time people have steel molds and they can do, 3 or 4 years of production before you need a new one.
And who makes the molds?
The factories.
Yeah.
Themselves.
Yeah, because so you can take one mold to another factory, but a lot of times each factory has like their own way of doing things. And so it's better to just make the factory with the mold.
I'm talking chicken or an egg conversation here, but like you don't have a product, you need a mold. Someone had to make a mold to make the product. Yeah. But now that you have the product, if you're going to start a new factory, do you just take them down the product and say, here's what you need to manufacture, and then they're going to design their mold around it?
So
or
you should
are they
have
always reverse engineering the mold based upon the specs
So you should
of the blueprints?
to be smart. You want the blueprints always.
Yeah.
You want to be in control
Right.
of the blueprints. You want to own the blueprints. If you don't own the blueprints, then you're screwing yourself over.
Got it.
So I have friends that have done this even in soft goods, where they're like, the factory made it and they won't give me the blueprints. It's like, well, before you give them the $100,000, tell them you want the blueprints.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they'll give you it then, but they're not going to give it to you a year later.
Right.
Yeah. And so do you go to the factories then once a year or some kind of
So
regular
sometimes,
cadence?
yes, I have like a middleman who lives in
nice.
Taiwan, and so they can go to the factory like on the drop of a dime. But I am going to go to the factories in a month because we need faster approval
Yeah.
in order to get the product, like another product we're making in time. And so if things are moving smoothly, you don't always need to go to the factory.
Yeah. So were tariffs a big deal then on your side?
That is a curse word in my house.
Instead of diving into them too deep. But,
Yeah, I'm like, I actually got in a fight with my brother about this because he was like, tariffs are actually protecting you. I was like, no. I'm like, whoever told you that doesn't have a company.
it doesn't have to pay
Well,
them.
doesn't have a company that makes stuff outside the U.S.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, even the people who make stuff outside of the U.S., they're affected by the tariffs too. Like they no longer. It was like crazy because like a local company here, they make all their stuff here,
Right,
but
you
they have to you have to
source
source
everything,
it.
right?
I'm like,
yeah.
plastic comes from China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm making plastic here, I still have to ship it from China.
Yeah.
So you're always paying tariffs somewhere, and so I think it caused
Yeah, 'cause
like
how do you
3
absorb
months
that?
of.
Do you just did you increase price?
We did increase our
Yeah,
price,
yeah.
and so What's crazy, if we increased the price at margin, like percentage, we would have had to increase it by like $70 to make the same margin,
Really?
right? So we just passed through the tariff to not try to make the same margin. We just were like, okay, we're going to pretend it's the same and just add on the tariffs. But we didn't even add all of the tariffs on. We only added parts of the tariff on. I think what people are going to realize is things are going to become extremely expensive.
Yeah, in our building world, the lumber all comes from Canada and all the sheetrock comes from Mexico. And so when that came in, I mean, it was 30, 40%. And then there's people bumping it that it's all made locally.
Yeah.
These guys need to understand it. But that's going to be an interesting one. Is there a point it prices out?
I think that
Like
that's where
have you seen
innovation
where you
changes,
go? Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And so you say, okay, people don't want to spend more than $200. I don't know. I'm just making that number up. And so I'm going to make a $100 product instead.
Yeah.
So.
Because I think that would be kind of where most people would draw the line, right? And so then you find the mini version or the
Right. So
other
that's
version.
like,
Yeah.
we came out with 2 new products. We were coming out with them anyways, but their pricing was extremely focused because of tariffs.
Yeah. Yeah, we had restaurants for a little while, but I remember talking to a guy, and that's why they always had the $200 tomahawk steak on there, was so that when you bought the New York strip for $60,
It felt good.
it felt like you got a good deal.
Yeah.
And so it's that idea of having the nice one and then this version in the middle, I bet that ends up being probably your best seller.
Well, we will see.
That'll be interesting. Yeah.
There is a lot of psychology behind that. I can't remember all of it, but yes, people like the middle.
So do you see the kind of an ongoing tariff issue with it, or is it, hey, we
I think
navigated
the hardest
it?
thing about tariffs is that
We
if
don't
he
know.
said this is the price for the next 3 years, it would like make everyone's lives better.
Yeah.
But the fact that this is like a yo-yo is like 90 days isn't enough. Do you know it takes me 90 days to put the order in and to get like the product's usually not even here in 90 days. Like our buy cycle is usually like anywhere from 65 to 105 days.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I'm going to order this and then I'm maybe going to have it sit at the factory because I don't know what you're doing.
Because you're waiting. Yeah. And then do you pay for it when it's shipped, or do you pay for it up
No,
front?
that's the most annoying thing is you pay for it when it gets here, and you can't dictate when it's going to be here because it could be 30 days, it could be 40 days, and it could be 30 days but then sit at the dock for 15 days because there's all these boats ahead of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's created a variable that didn't used to exist that now you have to account for, and I'm sure it's like I said, it's any variables that's not consistent is hard to account for.
Yes.
Right? So it's creating extra stress and frustration and work on your end, and there's no solid solution.
I think that's the hardest thing is I just tell me what it is so I can make a plan.
Well, and by nature, we tend to be like fixers in our businesses. Like, I want to fix the problem so that it goes away. right? Like, okay, here's a new problem, but here's the solution. Now it might take a while to implement that, but once we like make the solution, then I don't have to deal with it.
No, but this is when you.
This one is going to keep. It's just going to keep rearing its head, right?
Yeah. Well, especially when you're forecasting out so far.
Right.
Right. That would be really difficult. Like ours is aluminum.
Oh, so and aluminum is crazy now.
I know. So you almost look at glass or some other option, or do we just less canning more, and it just completely changes how you approach. Never thought I would think about aluminum prices. I'll tell you that much. So,
total side story. I'll tell you off camera, but I did a report one time when I was in college because I missed a week for vacation, and so my materials teacher made me do a 50-year product report on the aluminum can. Actually, the can originating from steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
really came from steel?
Well, cans used to be originally steel. Like old school cans, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyways, it was interesting. What I thought was interesting was like this was right when like the wide mouth cans were coming out, and they were talking about like what an innovation that was. It was like the advances in can technology. Wide mouth can made the list, but like all the way to the little like necking and like how they stack and like how much weight they can absorb and how they're packaged. Like it's all
There's
science,
so much
man.
thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There is a lot of thought.
Why they're
into
round. I mean, there's a number of things.
Why they are exactly the size that they are. I mean, it's intense.
So are you the chief innovation officer? So basically you cover all the roles, but are you the one out on the forefront trying to figure out what the next innovation?
Yeah. So I think, as I've learned, I'm wearing way too many hats. And so I've been trying to give other hats to other people.
Okay.
So every month I'm like, I just hired this person and this person to do this. My life's going to be so much easier in 2 months. And then it's like, oh, now I need to hire this person.
Yeah. What's the hat you like wearing?
I think I do like Chief Innovation Officer. It's really fun. And then I love being the CEO. I like pumping everyone up and like getting everyone to have a certain vision. I have realized I am not always awesome at it because being a leader is like really hard because one person, you say it this way and it motivates them. You say it that same way to another person and it totally is demoralizing. And it was like, oh, I thought I was pumping you up.
Well, I think that's one of the...
I feel like Tony Robbins.
I think that's one of the hardest parts about leadership is you can also lose yourself in that. So there's this fine balance of like, I have to know my people and I have to know myself enough to know how to deliver messages and have them received and to lead. But I also don't want to lose myself in the process. And sometimes when you're a CEO for too long, it feels like just chameleoning all the time. Is that a word, chameleoning?
Yeah, it is now.
Like you're constantly changing your demeanor or your tone to adjust to different other people. And then I think there's like a part of me that everybody has to draw their own line. But there was a part of me where I had to draw my own line where they're like, okay, I'll go this far. But now the onus is on them to just be like, you know what? Your boss is named Keith and he's kind of a jerk, so just get used to it, right? Like there was a part of me where I was like, I'm not losing this last little piece that I have. So you're gonna have to take that, but I'll go 70% or something.
That's like so wise. I think I actually experienced that in the last month because at a meeting in May, I was like, we're a startup. If you can't build the airplane while it's in air, like this is not the place for you. And I thought that was like a pump up.
Super motivating, right? Probably scared everyone.
And one person, it was like, she was like, I did not agree with that. And so then I like backpedaled but I was like, okay, what do I want to say and how do I want to say it so I think I'm learning how to be myself still.
I think I learned some of that from having like a big, I have like a big Irish Catholic family. Like both parents have a bunch of siblings, but like I always looked out and there was always like that uncle or that aunt that like, they got away with whatever they got away with, but everyone just explained it away. They're like, oh, that's just Jim. Oh, that's just Uncle Jim, or that's just Aunt Sally. She's just that way. And I'm like, you guys all like excuse around her, but it worked. But it was like, so if you're just like tried and true to yourself, like most people will adapt. It's just not the best for leadership, right?
Oh, and it's super hard, especially when you start small. Like I think that was the hardest part for me was I like to know your name. I like to know who you are. I like to be invested with you. And there was one point where across the companies there was, I don't know, 200 employees, 300. We had 140 some agents, and I like that back to losing yourself. It's this. I lost myself in it because you would come in and be like, "Hey, can I have a discount on my commission this month?" And I know you're struggling. I know that, so I'm like, "Yeah." Well, then Keith would hear about and come in. Hey, I heard you just gave Brynn a 15% discount. And then my brother Joel's like, what are you doing? You're like, and so we literally have moved to where I'm just that kind of visionary sales fundraise side, and he maintains it. But every time he'll make a decision, and I used to be like, what? You don't even care? And I'm like, well, you do care because you want this consistency across. And I just found that, like, back to being the best fit or the best seat on the bus, it was like, that was not mine.
And it's so good to know, like, that is not my strength. I am not a good CFO. Okay, that's fine. You're not good at making sure everyone follows the same rule.
Yeah.
Well, and digressing back to, like, you can be a good CFO or CEO a lot of times for a company with less than 50 people, and yet you might not be a good CEO when you have 300 or whatever.
Yeah.
I found that same thing with just when my firm, when it grew, it was like, I probably lost it somewhere around like 50 or 60, like where that was probably like my ceiling, you know, and I hung on from like 60 to 150 and I was just like a terrible person for like 2 years because my, you know, that what I wasn't being what my people needed me to be. Yeah. And I didn't have it in me, but I wasn't actively searching for the replacement or the right person, right? Like hindsight being what it was, is like I should have just recognized that and been like, nah, I got to find somebody who wants to run the day-to-day operations of a 150 agent brokerage, because I never intended for it to get that big. And I feel like I did a bang-up job from like 12 to 25.
I crushed it up to 50.
25 to 50, yeah. You know?
But that'll be an interesting scale one on yours. Like, what about when you have 300 employees?
Yeah.
And you're trying to motivate them and you're trying to get them to go. Like, you ever read Jack Welch and like those books?
Yes.
Like, some people hated him, but he was just this like consistent CEO.
Well, and Jack Welch or like the Steve Jobs. I mean, I think some of those guys were just kind of like Uncle Jim, right? They just were like, hey, man, this is how I lead. Yeah. And you're going to attract that kind of people or you're not. But
right. And I realized, okay, I want people who will build the airplane in the air.
Yeah.
Right.
But that means the other people that like the ground aren't going to be on our team.
Yeah, they're not on the plane. That's a growth thing for sure. Talk to me really quick about that. I know we're pressing a little time here, but like, what are kind of like the non-negotiables and like the standards of your company, or like, how do you guys deal with company culture? Just really curious.
I think that's an ongoing thing always. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Oh, it for sure is. And it was a loaded question too. Feel free to
reframe it.
I think it's hard because I want everyone to have life balance, but like I don't have life balance. Like, and I'm trying to figure out how do we have that? Yeah. And so I'm like, I want to play hard, rest, like work really hard. So, but I've noticed like the people on my team, and I read this in Good to Great too, it's like, I don't have to manage the people that are like the right people. Yeah. Right. They just get it done when it needs to get done, and they say, okay. So for me, I'm like, I do want to be at my kids' games. Mm-hmm. So if I have to take off work at 3 o'clock, I'm going to take work off at 3 o'clock, and I let anyone else that wants to do that too. But I'm working at 10 p.m. because I took 2 hours off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be the hardest one you do, actually, just forecasting yours out, because it's that nobody will ever care about it as much as you do.
Oh, totally.
And you gave them the time off because you felt bad leaving early. And the reality is they're more consistent. They should have been there, right? And I think that was always the balance when we finally separated. And it's like, nope, Joel runs the company, and then Jordan's just going to be here. Yeah. And he'll be in, he'll be out, he'll be up, he'll be down, but he's just going to push. But that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, and I noticed that too. Like, I was talking to one of my board members, and they're like, that person doesn't get that luxury.
Exactly.
That person isn't invested like you are. Yeah. And I was like, oh. So, like, but I've been treating everyone as if they're me up to this point.
Yeah. Well, I stole it. I straight stole it. But I had a interesting experience. Well, I was listening to a guy talk about growing his business. It was like a mastermind thing. But he was talking about how when he hires people, he's like, man, I just literally tell him. He's like, I have really high expectations. I don't care about process. I care about results. And like, we'll work well together if I can outline big vision to you and you can figure out how to make that happen and just come back to me and say, here's the problems, or here's what happened, or it's done. And I was like, oh, that's genius. And then I lost 2 employees, and then I hired 2 of the best employees I've ever had. And it was because of that conversation of like, I can't tell you what to do at 3:00 on Wednesday. Like,
that is what I learned is like, I cannot micromanage you.
Yeah.
That's not my job.
Like,
your job.
You do the next best thing that you think that you should be doing to get the overarching picture of the thing we're trying to do done. Yeah. And again, there's a lot of people that are like, that doesn't work for me, Keith. Like, I want direction. I want you to say, I want to know my metrics. I want to know when I hit them. And for me, it was a life-changing experience to finally get people in my life that were like, realize like I'm a big picture innovative guy, but like if you're going to him with like process or detail, like he's gonna look you right in the face and be like, what do you think you should do? Okay, go do that. But I think that's really hard it just takes time to.
But I think once you get to be a really big company, you need those people who do that stuff down there. And so I think there's like this middle growth where everyone on your team has to be able to solve their own problems.
Yeah.
But once you get bigger, then you have people that do the thing where you say, do this, this, this.
Well, what was interesting is when I first implemented it, I had a staff of about 15. And when I first implemented it with specifically 2 that I worked directly with, it was hard for the other employees because they were like, hey, where is so-and-so? Like, why isn't so-and-so here? And I'm like, because I basically told them that I just want them to get the job done. And if the job's not getting done, we have a problem. But if not, like, I don't care when they're here. Like, I'm not going to tell them when to show up or when to leave. I don't care if they work a Saturday or a Sunday. I don't care if they come here at 8:00 at night. And everyone else is like, well, I want that. Exactly. I'm like, well, you can't have that.
Yeah, because you're not that person.
Right. And you don't have that role, right? Like you can't just have your receptionist not show up, right? It's
seriously.
like, well, you're the receptionist. I'm sorry. Like that, it's his different job title. But it's interesting to see what I saw was the pushback or other people going, well, how come they get to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Because they're doing something on a Saturday that you don't want to do.
Yeah. And you just don't see it.
Right. Or at 8:00 at night. Right.
Yeah.
So culture-wise, do you have anything specifically that you implement in your like interviewing process or your hiring process or your review process that you think is a secret sauce? And if not, that's fine. I'm just curious.
I think I think naturally find other moms that are like me that they're like very love being a businesswoman, but they also are like, my kids, if they said they needed me, I'm dropping whatever and helping. So I think I naturally probably find those people just because I have a really awesome CFO and a really good head of marketing that really resonated with them. They're willing to work at 11:00 at night, but I'm really intense, and so if like people don't like, I tell them that in the interview process, and so if people don't like that intensity, then they don't really work well. But I started doing what's called almost like culture index. They fill out this questionnaire, and then I find out what their strength and weaknesses are, and then I put it on with mine, and it gives you feedback, and it's like this,
like a strength finders assessment or like
kind of. I have another friend who is a CEO, and she created it for her company, and so she just let me borrow it, but she'll sell it at some point, like to other companies. But it's
I've
really
always wanted to do that.
It's so cool because it says like, this is Brynn's strengths, this is Karen's strengths, and this is how you guys can work well together, and this is like red flags of where it won't work. Yeah. And I give it to me and I give it to them, and then we just are like, this is how we are.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
Behavioral analysis was like a hobby of mine for like a year, and I went way down that rabbit hole. But it's fascinating, and I always encourage people to, even small mid-sized business, to incorporate that stuff as much as it might. Like a lot of people confuse personality with behavior, right? It's very common. Like, I'm a tortoise and you're a crocodile and you're a monkey. It's like, no. Behavior is behavior, right? Like psychologically. But in the hiring process or in the review process, like even the language that I would use with regard to like their behavior and the role was like a huge shift for people. Even when I could talk to somebody and say like, behaviorally, you're not a match for the tasks, right? Yeah. Like this isn't about you. It's not about you're a good person or a bad person, or it's just that like I can tell like behaviorally, and a lot of people get away with I can do it, but that's really hard based upon like long-term results of like I should do it or it's going to feel good, you know? And that's a great conversation for people, I think, as they scale, is like oh no, I know you can do it, and you're going to be miserable in 6 months doing it, right?
I think that's
because
actually
it's
like,
not a behavioral match for you.
Yeah.
that's what I like really learned is when you do the assessment, I'm a fast-paced person, and my tank is like a 97th percentile. Like I can just go, and I realized this one employee that I was having a harder time with, she was like a calm person who didn't like change, and here I am like
Changing their world every day. Yeah.
and she was like, oh my gosh. And not that she wasn't a great employee, because she was. It's just like Brynn changes too much too fast.
Yeah. It's. I think that if you start down that rabbit hole and you start to get used to it, it's amazing how much of an impact it can have on your business.
So I'm
Well, it just
hoping
makes you
works.
aware, right? I think that's the biggest thing is then you know that going in to meet with that person or to have that ability. I think that's the biggest side of it.
Well, I
like
think
having
with
that
scale
assessment.
and growth too, it becomes about like the paper cuts, right? Like those. Like how many times are you not having to rehire? Like how many times are you not going through employee because they were just a bad match or a bad fit, and we hire out of haste or we hire out of speed, and that kind of slowing down a little bit and learning that nuance of behavior and kind of looking at a job role and behaviorally like what's that look like for somebody day in and day out and matching. So it's like in the long run, it's money, right? It's time, it's money, it's effort, and it's less setbacks.
Yeah, you don't hear the stories of people staying at a company for 50 years anymore, collecting their pension. So it's all about that. How do you screen better up front to align that interest? And I think we had this crazy long interview process, and I wouldn't even say it's always effective because I think it still misses some of those actual behavioral in the job moments. But it's just like every day we're trying to find a new tool that can help us weed through that faster. Because the hard part is we want to grow, but growth isn't necessarily it's people.
Yeah.
It's always people, and as much as you want to use AI and replace, it's still not going to replace. Especially with what we're doing, it's like our growth will be people, and I think trying to create and foster that culture, quote unquote, it's so hard. I would argue it's one of the hardest parts to live it, maintain it, reinforce it, and really try to find it when you have turnover. You have kind of this pretty distracted like employee base that really is transitional.
But I think it's you have to like get each other on the same goal spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Like what I've been doing is I was like, how do I get them to realize their goals align with my goals?
Yeah.
Like, is their goal to make more money? Is their goal to spend more time with their families? Like, how do I get them to see like your goals can align with my goals?
Yeah. That's why I like your 9 to 2 play, right? And then the only downside is like all of a sudden kid has practice or has something at 11 they have to be at, right? But it's like at least you're targeting, hey, this is our.
But it really worked last year, and it was a great way to save like funds too.
Yeah.
But like now I need full-time employees.
Yeah. Well, when you were saying that, it was interesting because I was thinking to myself of like, if you do get a bunch of kind of like moms like that, but they all think like that, then they're also much more apt to be gracious and hold space for the other moms in those spots, right? Like if I got 15 people and 3 of them are like that, well, when those 3 people are taking off, I got 13 people that are like, what's going on over here? But when everybody has that same mindset, they're like, oh, don't worry. Like I'll pick up the slack today because I'm going to be doing that same thing in 3 weeks when my daughter starts gymnastics or whatever, you know? Yeah. So that culture piece of just like-mindedness amongst them, I'm sure is like hugely beneficial just in making the whole thing work, right?
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out what works. I think as you grow, you always are changing.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
And no, it was great. Great communication. And I'm excited to hear and see your future growth. And I think it's super cool
I'm
for
excited
you. I
to
think
get
it's
you a
super cool
flosser so you can floss.
like now.
He'll be the third guy at the gym now.
I know. I'll be like, you guys, this is amazing. But we'd love to have you back too in the future. And
And I'll teach you all the mistakes I've made in the last year.
Please do.
Yeah, that's all we're trying to learn. I think we make most of them, so it's nice to hear that there's more people going through it on that side. But it's fun to watch you grow too. So,
well, and in the spirit of the show, me and Jordan named this Chestnut Checkers, but it's interesting to have these conversations and like it's like quippy and it's cute or whatever. It's like chestnut checkers, and so like you'd love to come on here and have some people be like, well, here's this strategy and huge things that I do that no one else does, and this is why I'm playing checkers or chess when everybody else. But what you really find is it's like grit, it's determination, it's paying attention, it's consistency, it's reflecting, and so that's really kind of the cool. They're not profound things. They're the simple things that we see commonality in that make the big differences. Yeah. You know? So, and I can just, in our conversation, just see like why you're such a great CEO.
Yeah.
Like, I really can see that.
Thanks.
I agree.
I think that would be.
I feel like I've been making lots of mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're doing
I don't think
great.
you're trying if you don't. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you
Awesome.
so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thanks for listening to today's episode. While you're out there, would you please do us a favor and give us a like, subscribe, or a follow, whether you listen on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. Also, if you don't mind while you're there, give us a 5-star review. Maybe write a review. If you have a favorite episode, feel free to give it a like. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it.